Right, we are live, Tossing Salad podcast live with you guys may remember Karolina here, right? From a few months ago, she was the Taylor Swift, the Swifty expert on the podcast that we had back in I think it was like October, November,
Y- Yeah, and I had blonde hair then, so
and she had the blonde hair. But one of the things, and I don't know if I've told you this or not, but that single episode that you were on where we talked about Taylor Swift. That was a topic that a lot of people were like, "There, you're not going to do that." And I'm like, "Watch me." I'm a casual Taylor Swift fan. I was like, I'm gonna find myself a Swiftie, and we're gonna make a great podcast. I just have to find somebody that I know that has the background. And sure enough, you're a Swiftie. We made the podcast. It was a very entertaining hour and a half. I forget how long. It was probably hour and a half.
yeah, it was up there.
And that is
It,
by far my number one show.
yeah, haters gonna hate, but all
And
praise,
haters,
all praise our Lord and Savior Taylor.
lovers of Taylor and haters of Taylor will always come together to sing her praises or cast shit on her or something. So that episode you did with me was is my number one by far, by four times the amount of my number two episode. And it just so happens that you're not only the expert with Taylor Swift, but you're also would you consider yourself kind of an expert hunter or just a very avid, passionate hunter?
I'm far from expert, otherwise I'd have more stuff hanging on my wall.
There's
But
nothing that we can see on your wall now other than what is that, a snapping turtle
n-
behind you in a tank?
there is, yeah, but you can't see him right now. I do have a pretty nice mule deer mount, but other than that, I usually just keep hides. So, and
So
I haven't mounted any birds. They're just birds.
this is where we all in life we all have friends and connections with people that are in different areas that we normally would kind of live in certain bubbles or whatever. And you and I, we both live in Missouri. For those of you that don't remember from our first Taylor Swift podcast, you and I live rather close to each other. What do they call that? As a crow flies or a stone's throw away from each other?
Yeah, I think we're like 40 minutes or so.
And but I think it would take a long time for us to get. There's no direct route. There's like a
No,
river and a whole
yeah,
bunch of other stuff that we have to get through.
it's
Um,
like a
yeah, a
route.
meandering route to get to each other, and we've never actually met in person. Although we're going to address that hopefully soon. Maybe this year we'll get together. I'm thinking maybe
I I'm thinking in April we gotta go.
we're referring to Record Store Day, right?
Yes.
So well, that's a whole Taylor Swift thing too. We'll fill you in on that later on. You guys are all here for the gruesome Dear CSI scene, and as I was saying, being in different worlds, I'm not a hunter, right? And you and I, we've come together on Instagram, and you've had your fair share of making fun of me sometimes when I'm dealing with squirrel or whatever animal has come in and ravaged my raised beds. And have you've made a few comments here and there? Just take care of it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I need you to come take care of it. I that's just out of my league, you know. I mean, do most of the people you hang out with, are they all hunters?
Uh, Pretty much everyone I hang out with here is, yeah, but I mean, we have the luxury of being able to walk outside our back door and like there's a 22 sitting at the back door just to pop squirrels, you know, if they're getting in the garden or if I feel like it. If I walk across the street, I can deer hunt, turkey hunt,
You
coyote
live a
hunt.
you live a little further out than I do. I'm subdivision.
Yeah, we're not. Like my closest neighbor is a quarter of a mile away, I think.
Oh, really? See
Walking,
that?
like direct route walking.
I think that's really cool, and that's something that I would like to get to at some point. Not necessarily for hunting purposes, but my wife's family, every single one of them hunts. I we're in Missouri. Missouri is a hunting state for the most part. There's a lot of hunters and stuff. So um, with what we're going to talk about tonight with the deer, this is just kind of out of my element. I see deer that come through, and as much as I think that, oh, look at those sweet little deer, I understand in certain areas they're kind of a nuisance as well. And when one kind of drops dead of certain causes, which you're here to figure out for us with the evidence I'm going to show you, it's just it's something that I'm not familiar with, and you can only imagine because you've seen the video that I posted with the sound of whatever it was that was captured on our Nest camera, middle of the night. Couldn't see anything, but you could hear what could have been a growl of something, some kind of
Hmm.
animal noise back there.
That is
And
right.
when I posted that on Instagram and TikTok, it has kind of shot off or shot, what is it? It's gone viral. It's gone kind of viral on TikTok, about 150,000 views, of which you can imagine every sort of comment that you can get from all walks of life that would want to talk about animals and what I should have done or shouldn't have done or what an idiot I am.
No such thing.
But I think tonight, at least for me, and yes, I mean this is all kind of I'm sure somebody's going to hate that I say this, but for me this is kind of fun because I'm looking at it kind of as an educational thing. I want to learn kind of from you in how you would approach this situation and helping determine what happened to this particular deer. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. We'll theorize. By then, I think we will have a sound theory as to what happened.
Now, you've seen everything that I'm going to present tonight, and I'm going to put that up on our screen as well, so people can see and as they're following along watching our live. The only thing I can't do for some reason, the audio on the video is not working on the stream here, so I can't put up the audio of whatever was kind of growling, whatever was kind of making that sound that night. You'll have to go to either Instagram or TikTok real quick, go listen to the sounds, and then come back. But tonight is where we're going to actually look at the deer photos that have not been released because I don't think a lot of Instagram, TikTok would put the kibosh on
Yeah, they are not safe for social. Not safe for social.
it, and we're gonna find out if YouTube minds us putting these up here.
We'll see.
So just for the to set the mood, here's the setting where I'm in. Okay, so I'm in the suburbs of St. Charles, St. Louis, Missouri, and my house is on 3/4 acres, and we've got a dry creek bed behind us that fills up only during storms, but it's a nice tree line for a subdivision, and we have a lot of animal activity that just follows up through the creek, of which we have a deer family or herd. I don't know. What do you call a group of deer that come back every year? Is it a family?
Roadkill eventually, honestly.
It's a group of deer that my neighbor says has come back like for the last 15 years or something. And so they always come back. 2 years ago, I witnessed the mom give birth on my neighbor's driveway. I got great pictures of that. But they all come back after going around in a circuit or something. I don't know. But so that's where I live. Now I'm gonna put up the first picture I'm gonna put up is when I came out uh, yesterday morning on my deck overlooking my garden, and let's see here. Let's see what we can do. Okay. So I'm going to pull up this image here. And so from my deck, you can see that's part of my garden that I had to fence off a few years ago because of deer. And if you kind of zoom in, you can kind of see where, as I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm like, what is that behind my garden? I was like, I think that's a fucking deer that's dead.
That's dinner.
So I could tell something's going on, even though I had my glasses on. I was like, yeah, that doesn't look good. So I was like, okay, well now we have to come up with a plan here. And unfortunate for me, you see the berm that's behind us there.
Hmm.
My neighbor behind me, if the deer would have died or gotten killed like 10 feet that way, this wouldn't be my problem. And I know, and other people in the comments were like, just drag it to your neighbors or drag it into the creek, drag it into the street, let
That's
somebody else
not
deal
being
with
a
it.
nice human.
And we'll talk about those comments as well because everybody has an opinion on what I should do, but they don't think it out. Um, Now, the one other thing I want to show you before we show the actual deer photo is a couple weeks ago, back of my compost area in the dry creek area, in the dry creek part of our yard, I noticed a deer that was having some issues.
It's like a bad leg. Hot. Uh,
So talk me through what you're seeing here. Like if you were me coming across this, what do you is there anything that you can kind of tell or that you would notice?
I mean, it looks injured, but I'm having a hard time deciding if it's injured in the front or in the back
Well,
because it keeps moving. You know,
yeah, when I
it's
scrub
front
it,
leg, but
you see how that front left just kind of dangles.
yeah.
Now I have seen this deer a few weeks even before this, and could barely was just operating off of three legs.
It depends on where it might have gone. You know, I've seen deer that I think they call it blue tongue, like they basically drink water or like get into water until they drown. It's just, something that happens, and chronic wasting disease is huge right now. Every time you hunt deer, especially if it's opening weekend, they recommend getting it tested, and they encourage not to eat the meat, until you get a result back. I don't think that anyone's ever been, you know, harmed by eating meat from a deer with chronic wasting disease. I think it just spreads from animal to animal. But yeah, I
But
don't know. That guy's leg looks a little messed up to me.
so I think like right there, I wish I could zoom in on this.
I can see it. It's kind of
You can
like,
see.
yeah.
Yeah, and then right where that joint is, I mean it's inflamed like really big. So I was thinking it's broken somehow.
Well, I've seen the carnage footage and the front view, which I'm sure you'll be showing soon.
Yeah.
When you zoom in on that deer's leg, I mean, the joint is like huge. So I think something happened to it,
Okay.
for sure.
So this is the, and again I'm assuming a lot. And Stacy here, hold on. Stacy was saying that she was thinking chronic wasting initially too when she was talking to me today.
Hmm.
Potentially, which of the 150,000 views I got on TikTok, that came up a bit as well. And then there were other people that were like, well, just kill it and eat it. And I'm like, okay. Again, you don't know the situation. What am I going to do?
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
like I said, I think to date, even if it did have chronic wasting disease, no one that's a human that's consumed meat from that has been reported to have fallen ill. But
But would that be a suggestion you would give to somebody like me though? Knowing me,
uh,
you'd be like, "Oh yeah, eat
yeah,
it."
go out there in your backyard and just hack it up with a knife. You'll be fine.
I mean, somebody maybe like you that has a background in it and you're comfortable with it, I totally get it. I'm not against whatever you guys want to do.
Right. And there's a lot of factors. It depends on what it was like when you found it. Was it warm? Because that's not good. How
Yeah,
long had it been out there? Okay, maybe a few hours, and it was probably cold at night, but you don't want to eat spoiled meat.
right.
That's
And
worse
and
than the chronic wasting situation.
and I don't know anything about that. I'm saying I don't hunt, so I don't eat. I've had deer meat a couple times, I think, when I've been to a or my in-laws,
Can you play
but
that again? Like,
just at
okay,
first.
so I haven't seen the deer in real life, but did it look like it was like thin to you, like sickly? And
Uh,
sometimes when they have it, they kind of like do the head droop thing. I don't know if that it's necessarily drooping its head. I think it's just having a hard time moving around.
yeah, it's not drooping its head, and eventually, right after this, the deer kind of takes off and is gone for like 2 weeks, and so it was just out of mind because I remember doing this on Instagram stories because I walked out there and
Hmm.
I was like, oh, there's a deer right here and it looks fucked up. The other I got probably a dozen other comments from people that were like, why didn't you go help it? It's obviously caught up in a fence and it's hurting itself. And I was like, there's no fence here.
Yeah, no, it does. It's not caught up in a fence. I think it's just having a hard time on its leg.
So when we get to the photo, maybe there might be some markings that we can try to say, well, maybe this deer is the one that we're going to end up seeing dead in my yard.
I'm thinking when you see that leg up close, if it's the right leg, that might be a good
So
sign that this is the
so
same
on this
guy or
deer here,
gal.
it's the front left.
Okay.
And then so here's another question for you then. Is this a guy or a girl?
This
I've
is
had
the
people tell me
doe.
both. Somebody was
Um,
telling me it's a buck or something. I was like, "What? How do you I know like if it
well,
had the horns, but
right. Uh, Shed season is another factor to consider, but when you went up to it, I mean, you can tell if they have the parts, right?
I well, I we might you might be able to see it in a couple of photos I bring up maybe. So there's this one here. So then it goes a couple weeks and then enter in yesterday. So um let's see here. Let's go to so now I'm just going to go to a just a warning for those of you just to let you guys know because I'm considerate on my lives. I'm going to show two different angles of the deer as I came across it yesterday. And the first one is the first shot I took of it from behind. And so you tell me what you see, how you want me to zoom in, whatever, okay? So let's
Okay.
see here. And and the people on TikTok and Instagram have not seen these pictures. So all the information they were relaying to me with their opinions was based off of simply just the Nest video of the Nest video of the audio. So
Okay.
what are you seeing here? Talk me through this.
Uh, so just from this photo, with the hind end being ripped out like that, I would say right now it's more likely a coyote. They tend to go for the digestive tract of animals. They don't care what it is.
Okay.
The only other thing is they're usually pretty messy. So
Okay.
this thing probably would have been shredded. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh, Coyotes are pack animals, but they do hunt alone or in like loose pairs. So from this single photo, oh, and you can kind of see the leg from here too. If you can you zoom in on the leg a little bit? Do you see
The
that lump?
the front leg.
The front, yeah, the front leg, that like giant ball right there. It looks a lot better in the other picture, but you can see it from this angle too.
So you're talking. So this is the right front. That I think the left front was the one that we were questioning whether it was broken.
Right, in the other video. So that's why I was
Okay.
really um curious as to if it was going to be the same one from the old video because that to me looks like inflamed, swollen, huge. I don't know.
Yeah, you'll probably be able to see it better in the next photo. Um, Now there were parts of, I don't think you can see in this photo here, within like a 10-foot radius, parts of the deer all over the place.
Entrails probably from that
It looked
nice.
like some organs of something.
Right.
So
The other thing I noticed, so when you went out there, did you happen to look for any tracks besides deer tracks?
at the time I didn't, but by the time that people were like, "Well, did you see any tracks?" The crime scene was, I mean,
Yeah.
there were several people that had been back there, and uh, maybe
So
there's some other tracks here.
the other thing to point out is on either side of the deer, if you want to zoom out, uh, there are broken branches, and so when cats kill animals, they tend to want to drag them places like to hide them. They don't want them in plain view, and
Okay.
they cache them. So caching like is just trying to kick up dirt, leaves, branches to kind of cover their kill. So they want to keep other animals out of it. So,
I mean there's stuff laying here that was part of my garden that I don't remember just laying there, so maybe
hmm
this was in the process of being covered. And again, when so here's what's going through my head. You tell me what you think. That video, the nest video with the sound, was about 4:15 in the morning. Now, I can I assume that the sound that you heard, you remember that you heard, what do you think that was the kind of moments something was going on, or was that afterwards? And like probably 80% of the comments were like they are 100% sure that's the sound of the deer.
I am of the same belief that that is the deer,
Okay.
and I am
Okay.
thinking that that is the deer. Like when you get to the next photo, I don't think the deer made that sound after it was dead.
Right.
But I don't think that that is whatever caused this.
Okay.
So
So,
like cats scream, right? When they do their thing, it
yeah.
does sound like a cat that you would see in a movie, like a jaguar or something. It's like
Hmm.
that rah rah rah, that kind of sound. And then coyotes, um, like will howl after a kill, but like to me,
It,
if it's a cat, right? So it's hiding, it's stealthy, and then it pounces on its prey. I don't think
okay.
it's gonna make any noise to be like, I'm here, I'm about to eat
Well,
you.
unfortunately, on the Nest camera, uh, from like I guess it was when it was dark till about 3:30 in the morning, it was raining. So you can't see anything, and the only thing you can kind of hear during that time was kind of rain. But the camera didn't pick up any kind of sound from like a coyote or a cat, in a sense that it picked up this sound at 4:15
hmm
and within the last few minutes of this stuff happening. The camera did pick up those sounds. So there's no other sounds that I can go off of. So you're thinking from what you heard that was the deer.
I am team. I think that is the deer. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's
So
switch
if
the
the other thing to look at, oh, sorry, real quick on that
yeah, go
last
back.
photo.
Uh-huh.
Um, if you can zoom in on the back of the neck, so does it look like that's like fur that's been plucked to you?
It
Because that's another thing that mountain lions will do is like they'll actually like pluck the hair.
yeah, if you see that, I mean, can you see the cursor going around there?
Yeah, like
I mean,
that little
that's
tuft, yeah, that tuft down there, and then
all of
to
this right
the
here is fur that's been kind of pulled, it looks like.
right. So that would be another cat sign for me.
So when you say cat,
Mountain lion, cougar,
so
puma,
you're
whatever
bouncing
you want
back
to call it.
between coyote and a cat.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I also I'll tell you at the end what
Okay.
my full
Sure.
theory is.
Perfect. Yeah, this is exactly what I was hoping for. So there were chunks of fur, stuff like this within a 10-foot radius. So like right over here, you could see like a chunk of hair there, a
Right.
chunk over here. Um, so it does look like something was going on with the neck portion here from behind.
Hmm.
All right. And do you think this is the right front leg, right?
Looks right to me.
Yeah. And so the left one, I'm wondering if we'll be able to see more of a potential break. Um, and then you said the damage that you're seeing here on the back end is more from a coyote.
They tend to go for the hind quarters, yeah.
Okay.
Cats from the front and then the neck, because they'll pounce and then they'll try to grab by the neck or even like claw at their snout to kind of slow them down and then get a good
Okay.
grip with their mouth.
All right. So let's we're gonna flip the angle and go to the front. And if I knew I was going to do like a live and stuff with you at the time, I would have taken a whole bunch of other pictures.
All of the tracks possible.
Yeah,
That would have
I
that would have probably given it away.
taped it off and then. All right. So what are we looking at? What's going through your head here?
So here, the first thing that I noticed was that leg in the front. Like that looks huge.
Okay.
That's why I was
So
thinking, maybe it would be that deer that you thought was injured.
I
That
would have to
that
agree.
ball right there.
This right here, is
Yeah.
that a sign of broken?
I mean,
Maybe
something, yeah, or inflamed. I think it was broken at one time and that's just probably the way that it healed.
because I mean, from watching the deer, if it was the same deer, and right now I guess it would almost we would conclude that it probably high likelihood that's the same deer that we saw a couple weeks ago. It doesn't look like she could have put much weight on that.
Yeah, I think that's why in that video you could see him kind of like moving, the leg around.
Is there anything here that you can tell if it's a guy or a girl?
Not really from that angle. Like, so did you get close enough to, could you see like maybe if there were like nubbins on its head? Because they'll shed, but you might still be able to see the little nubs.
No. I I was just getting like ball. I'm like, hey, there's a dead deer in my yard.
Yeah. What do
Um,
I do?
Knowing that if something were to happen again in the future, you better believe I'm gonna think of the podcast or the live and to get more details. Um, Anything with like the eyes.
Not really the eyes. I mean, who
So
knows
what?
how long
So
it had been dead for. But so this to me like is more. I would think that this is a coyote or I'm sorry, a mountain lion.
oh,
They go
okay.
for the front. You could grab by the neck, take it down, and then just start ripping away at it. So I'm thinking that's where that giant gash came from, and they will eat, like the heart, those kinds of organs. I didn't know if you got it like really good in there, if you could tell if anything was missing.
I can't, I don't even know what I would be looking at here. And then there was bloody something from inside the deer within 10 feet. I just don't have a picture of it.
Maybe ripped its throat out. That or it ripped out some of the entrails.
So
But so the back photo was giving me more mountain lion vibes because of the tufts, and this angle of like where it decided to
well, you
attack
said
also.
on the back one, initially you had said it was coyote because they went for
Right,
the
that
back.
that area looks like coyote,
Okay.
but with all the hair, being kind of
Yeah.
like plucked,
Okay.
that part to me was mountain lion. So I'm just kind of looking at like the big picture and being like, this
Sure.
is what I think, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And still like those branches like right by it, I'm thinking that might be
Pro-
trying to hide it.
process of trying to hide it maybe, and
Yeah.
then we only had an hour before sunrise. If that was approximately the time it was taking it down, around 4 o'clock in the morning,
That's the other
five
thing
o'clock.
is like where you live, a loud noise could have spooked it.
Right. Right. One, and on the video too, I don't know if you remember hearing the sound of the airplane going overhead, which
Hmm.
is something it's common, but it's not common. It's not common enough though that I took notice of it when I was in bed, and I was like, oh, what? I was like, it sounds like the plane's right above the house. But that is the same time that my dog was getting all squirrely, and I was like, oh, she's got to go out and take a poop. I said, I don't want to get up and let her go. And then she ran out into the living room, and then she yipped, and I was like, yeah, she's got to poop. So I get up and I walk out to the front door, and she's standing. But and I'm looking back now. She heard this going on. Whatever's going
Hmm.
on outside, she heard this. So her yip you can hear on the video on the Nest Cam, while that one particular sound that you're thinking is coming from the deer was making that noise. So I let her out, not knowing what's going on.
Hmm.
And looking back, I'm like, well, shit. She could have bolted for the backyard to go see what was going on.
Yeah, that's possible. Um, the other thing to note, oh, hold on, you have a comment first. Did you
Oh, well, I
leave
was
it in your yard? Sorry, go ahead.
no. So Stacy, did I leave it in my yard? The deer was gone. I had somebody come pick it up. So and that was all my comments as far as there is no city or county service. There's a lot of people under the impression that, oh yeah, city, county, Missouri Conservation, animal, what's the animal, the other one, whoever's in charge of animal stuff in the county will come and pick up a dead deer, and that's not the case. I've
Can you
made
zoom
I'm
in?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. When you're done, before I forget, can you just zoom in to the back, like leg area and keep talking to Stacy
yeah.
so I
So
can analyze?
everybody that assumes that the county or the city will come and get it, they don't do that anymore. And the people that I talked to from Missouri Department of Conservation, as well as my city and county offices, they're like, I don't even remember when that was even changed or why people think that's a service that we offer. But they don't do it now. MoDOT, which is Missouri Department of Transportation, on their site will get a deer, because I checked on that because people are like, just go drag it out into the road. I'm like, are we being reasonable now or no? But anyways, so MoDOT has a thing to where they will only pick up dead animals if they present a current hazard to driving conditions or block the mail from being delivered. So it was just interesting because today I saw 3 deer just off to the side of the road on our Highway 94, just sitting there, and they're just going to sit there.
We
And
actually have
they
a
will clear them. I'm sorry, but they will clear them when they have the time. But it's not a a come service right now?
We have a deer that was hit not on our road, but like the road next to our road, I guess.
Yeah.
That's been deceased for months, and it's just slowly decaying because it does not. It's like right by a stop sign, right? So
Oh,
whoever hit it, it just went and then
right.
fell into like the little ditch next to it. But it's been there forever, and it's just gonna stay there until it's done decomposing.
Because it's too
Um,
busy for a predator to come back and clean it up, right?
it's close to the road. I think if something really wanted to, well, and plus it's been dead for so long, who knows,
Yeah.
It's gonna go to maggots now, basically.
Uh,
But the MoDOT thing is funny that you said that. So, where I work, we actually make a part that they buy for their deer cooker station.
what is that? I don't know what a deer cooker station is.
So there's, I think, I want to say that they have it by Antire Hill somewhere, but off to the side of the like highway, there's actually like a place where, the trucks that come collect the deer carcasses, they'll take them there, and
Yeah.
it's just this giant like oven where they cook
Where
them,
they just, I see.
Yeah.
Well,
So I know that it exists.
yeah. Well, so I mean, so MoDOT will come if it's on the road as a hazard, current hazard. Then it's kind of a priority to go get. If not, it's whenever they determine that. Well, if it's on the road, but if it's on the shoulder, then maybe they'll come get it later on. But it's not something that's a high priority. I had people saying, call the cops. Cops don't want to.
They're not gonna do anything.
What are they going to do? And they were like, oh, call animal rescue. I'm telling you, they're not going to come for a deer, for a wild deer.
So when I had you zoom in on like the back leg area,
Okay.
it's it's hard to tell from a photo, but if it was a male, they do have that like that tuft of hair that's kind of right there.
Right here in
That
the center.
Yeah, no, 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 up towards like the groin.
Oh, this there right here.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it from this photo, if I had to just guess, not being there, that does look
Yeah.
like it. It might have been a male.
Okay.
Can you guess when you went out there about how much it weighed?
The kid that came and picked it up, said about 130 pounds.
Pretty small.
So he was he didn't look much older than my oldest son, who's 18.
Hmm.
And he says, "Oh yeah, he hunts all the time." And I was like, "Well, how much do you think this weighs?" And actually, you know what? He referred to it as a him because I kept saying it was a girl. I kept saying it was a doe or something. He kept saying it was a, a buck
Yeah, from
or
from this photo where that tuft of hair is, I'm leaning more towards male.
if he was a male, would he? I mean, I generally know the differences, but would there be parts there that I
There
could
would
see?
be that like hair there that,
Does he have a
you know,
penis and testicles?
you can't tell from out there. But that tuft of hair does lead me to believe that, yeah, it was a male.
But let's just say we could examine the deer in 360 and spin it around and zoom in and stuff. Can you see
I
that from the out
Yeah, you could
on a
see it.
male?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They usually get it like when they're really young. So 130 pounds, he might not have been, very old. Who knows? The other thing to point out is like because of that bad leg,
Hmm.
coyotes tend to go for either really young animals or sick animals.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and I mean, looking in the mud. I mean, and this is before everybody's kind of traipsed around into it. Um, I don't know necessarily if I can spot any kind of tracks.
I've been kind of looking, but I mean, either way, I'm thinking like I know a lot of people commented bear, and I think it was based on the sound in the video, and I really still think that that's a deer. Um, but if you're looking for a coyote or a cat, the paw print kind of looks. I'm not saying it's the same, but a paw is a paw, right? So
So
it could be.
you have the photos. If at some point later on you start kind of looking through the mud for me and you see something, please let me know.
I
I
will
look at
for
this, I really
sure.
don't see anything. Something here, right there. There's some kind of a print.
And it could be deer hooves too.
Yeah. So to so here so walk me through everything that you've seen so far and what it potentially could be. And I guess before you do that, what animals do we have in our area? You'd be more familiar with that than I am. What do we
Uh,
have that
um,
could do this to a deer?
and I can hear coyotes outside my house every day, so we
Yeah.
definitely have those.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, closer to where I live, somebody hit a mountain lion with a trailer that they were pulling with their vehicle, like in a. It's not like a suburb like where you live, but it is kind of a more. They're closer neighbors. Let's put it
Sure.
that way. It was pretty big, so they actually had pictures of it. If you have, do you have that like next door app at
Yeah.
all?
Yeah.
I mean, that thing was blowing up, and it was just
Okay.
like the comments were like, "Oh my God, poor kitty, I'm praying for it."
Right.
It's
Right.
like, I get it, you want to be compassionate because it was injured, but like at the same time, it's not a poor kitty.
Right. Right. So mountain
um,
lion are readily in our area of St. Charles, St. Louis
I don't
outskirts.
know that I'd say readily, but they have been spotted recently. I have a coworker that lives kind of near Pacific area,
Mm-hmm.
and he sends pictures of bear in his backyard all the time.
Real bear, as in like a black bear, or what
Black
do we
bear,
have?
yeah,
Okay.
black bear. God, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up and like point it at my computer screen for you. But
If you
uh,
have it, you can load it up here, and I can put it up. You know
okay,
where it
let
says
me
present.
scroll. I'll scroll through, but we can keep talking. But yeah, I mean, we've got all of those, and I think those were kind of like the top three contenders
Here's okay. Well,
based on all your comments.
let me throw in another one that is very. We had a few funny ones that were hilarious, like
My
Bigfoot,
mother-in-law, I liked that one.
mother-in-law. That was awesome. What was another kind of funny one?
Something
Uh,
from South Park.
South Park was at the pig man dog guy.
Yeah.
But okay, so here's probably third place, third or fourth place of the number of comments that I got were uh, people swore that the sound was not only a pig, but a pig taking this down. What are your thoughts on that?
Wild pigs. That's just not something that I have heard being around here. I mean, there are wild pigs everywhere. People hunt wild pigs all the time. Just usually it's like California, Alabama, and they'll have traps that they set for them. It's certainly
But to take out a deer like
possible.
this,
Well, I mean, they're vicious, but not. I don't think it would be a pig in your area.
I haven't heard of anybody saying anything about a pig in our area. Although I think my in-laws go pig
There's
hunting.
usually more than one pig, also. Like you would know if you had a pig problem. That there are states where they will actually pay you to like eradicate them. They're so,
Yeah.
it's such a. I hold on. So I did find the picture of the injured mountain lion.
Okay. So yeah, put it on the present, and then I'll be able to see it here, and then I can put it up.
I'm waiting for it to come through,
This
and
is
then I'm
all the
still
fancy
scrolling for the
software
bear.
that we're using. But do you feel like right now, what percentage confidence do you have in the sound that you heard on the Nest camera? And if you're watching this, You can go on my Instagram or TikTok. The video is up with the sound. It's not playing the sound here on the live tonight. You're what percent confident that that was the deer making that sound?
I'm gonna go like 80%.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that that was the deer. Okay, so what
Just
do
to,
I need to do to share this cat photo with you?
so do you see your present button?
Yeah, I got you. Oh, wait. So I have a slide and oh, share screen. I got you.
Yeah.
Share screen. So let me know when you can see me. Can I just do like my desktop window? Okay, share.
I
Can
don't
you
see anything
can you
pop
see
in
me?
yet. I can see you. I don't see the screen that you're sharing just yet. So usually that would like my guest can
Okay.
put it
How about
up
that?
and then there we go. Yep.
Okay.
So tell me
So
when you want me to put it up.
can you see it now? That little guy.
So I'm going to put that up there. What's a better way for us to look at that? So if you want to open up that window bigger so we can see it, there you go. So that's what somebody hit in our area.
Yeah. And yeah, it was closer to me and they hit it like they hit a trailer on their vehicle and I guess were turning or something as the cat decided to cross and like clipped it with the backside of the trailer.
And that's a mountain lion. What about
Yes.
bobcat? People have all said bobcat.
No, so Bob okay, so mountain lions are like up to 160 pounds. They have a really long tail. You know,
Okay.
they're big cats. A bobcat is like a 30-pound cat with a very short tail. It's basically
Okay.
like a larger Maine Coon with a short tail. You would
Okay.
know the difference when if you saw one.
But as far as being able to take out a deer like this, is this could it be bobcat?
I mean, at 30 pounds, maybe
And they
a
hunt by
fawn.
themselves?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just rabbits, sure, smaller critters, yes, but a deer, I would not say it's likely. Unless maybe it was like super injured. Man, I'm
Thanks for
trying to
hanging out
find
with
this.
us tonight, Stacy. Um, so we've gone over the list of potentials, and you've kind of ruled out a very low likelihood of a pig, which a lot of people had said. Bobcat, low likelihood. What right now, looking at everything, what are your two main culprits and why?
Um, my two main culprits are coyote and mountain lion. And
Okay.
I am not ruling out that one could have caused initial damage, went away, and then the other one could have come in to figure out the rest.
Right. And that's a good point. That's something that I didn't even think about until probably today that this could be multiple. So why would you say that based off of what you're seeing here? How would you
So I would
recreate?
I would say that if I had to put money on it, mountain lion comes in and takes it down. And
Okay.
I'm saying that because of the damage to the front of the deer
Okay.
and whatever it's ripped out there, and then the hairs that have been plucked from the deer,
Okay. Yep.
and then also the debris that's around it that was not there before, like the
Okay.
sticks and stuff, kind of trying to maybe
The
save it
sticks
for
were in
later.
the area, but I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
remember
they'll
it
take
being
uh, they'll they'll take anything or even maybe like move it a little bit to kind of like get it out of like so it's not just in the open. he'll try to cache it. So
I
I'm
don't think there's
thinking
any drag marks though. Do you see any drag marks on the?
no, and that's why I think, it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to use these sticks and call it a day.
Okay.
Um, where I get coyote vibes is the damage to the back end of the deer,
Okay.
and it's hard to tell like what's been ripped out of it, but they'll eat that part, and especially like, the entrails of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is injury to the deer goes both ways for me. Like if coyotes tend to go for smaller, younger, but also injured. I think if it was a mountain lion and it was like, hey, this is, gonna be an easy one for me, it would also go for it. But I'm leaning towards mountain lion.
So mountain lion doing it all, but you can't rule out mountain lion and coyote
I think, yeah,
jointly, and then
right,
maybe the third one is just coyotes,
correct.
maybe. Okay.
I don't think it was just coyotes. I really
So
don't. I mean, so when you walk outside on your deck, do you hear them ever? You'd hear them
oh,
howling.
we hear coyotes all the time, and we've
Yeah.
had coyotes come through and take out a neighbor's dog, like took it.
Yeah, yeah. See, and that's the thing is like coyotes, they're so messy, and this to me looks pretty clean.
And everything that I again I'm a novice in all this, but everything that when we hear coyotes, we hear them.
Yeah. They're pack animals. Like I said, they do hunt alone or in like loose pairs. And they will make noise, but it's usually after a kill.
So at what point then do you think that if that sound at 4:15 a.m. on the Nest camera is the deer, was that after all of this? Was that at the time that maybe the mountain lion had it and hadn't torn out the front? Because it's not going to be making that sound.
Right, yeah. I'm thinking that this was happening during, you know what I mean? Like, oh, gosh, I wish you could tell like what it ripped out in the front. But I'm
Yeah,
thinking that, whatever got a hold of it, and as it was pulling it down and starting to kind of get in there, that's when it
and that
made
was the
the
sound.
sounds. Yeah. They'll do distress calls. Deer will do distress calls and they'll put their tail up in the air, because they have white tail. So
Yeah.
that's like kind of to raise the alarm if any other deer, babies, whatever are in the area. But I don't think that the deer would have made a distress call like that on, that's on your audio.
I so the people that have so I had three people send me links to YouTube of a deer. One was a deer being attacked by a bear in a backyard, suburban backyard or something. I forgot
Hmm.
what the search term was, but I found the video that they said that that's the sound of a deer. That's exactly what that deer sounds like. And I was like, well, let me go look. I went. It's not the same sound.
Is it more of like a scream?
The deer. It was more of a. It was more. Yeah, it was more kind of a scream, like I'm being eaten.
Yeah,
The one in that video, in the Nest video that I shared, I still haven't found a YouTube video of a deer that makes that sound. If you can find one, let me know.
I did some looking, but I didn't turn up anything that sounded quite like that. I do think that it's the deer making the sound. But who knows? Like based on, whatever it ripped out of the front,
Yeah,
maybe that
I
has something to do with
just out
it.
of just because I was curious. I mean, we looked up mountain lion and three. I looked up three audios of mountain lion, and one of them sounded just like that I heard.
Hmm. It's possible. To me, I think they scream more than they like grunt or growl.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking more sound of the deer versus sound of the cat.
So you're thinking most plausible right now at 8:56 Central Time on Wednesday that around 4:15 in the morning, a mountain lion, possibly tracking this injured deer, took it down, and as it was taking it down, that's when I heard the sounds. And you're kind of leaning towards the deer making that sound. Okay, so that's about 4:15, and then between that time and sunrise, coyotes came and potentially took out the back end, and then they were like, "Oh, it's there's too much
We're
suburban life going
50% on
here."
that one. Well,
Okay.
we're 50% on that one. Could it have been a mountain lion doing the whole thing? Yes. Just like based off of, research or whatever people tell you, I think
If
it's
it
more.
was just a mountain lion, is there a signature that they? I think you said this before. They go for the neck to bring it down. So you think the neck wound is first, and the back end was like a second course for it? If it was just the mountain lion,
I would say yes. I mean, I really don't. The other thing that would have been interesting is like if it had more time to do more damage, I think it would have
mm-hmm.
been a lot more obvious what had happened.
Right.
This looks very rushed. Like, so, I said mountain lions usually tend to be cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because it only had an hour.
Right. What is there anything to the airplane sound scaring it off? Because it was right when the airplane was going over, and it was very loud, and it was directly over the house, or else it wouldn't have been that loud. That's when we heard the sounds.
It's possible. Um, who knows how much time, these animals spend in an area like yours versus one like mine.
Yeah.
Like out here, I mean, we have a quarry that's down the road,
Right.
and so like where I live, I don't hear trucks beeping or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes I will feel the vibration if they're blowing stuff up there.
Yeah.
But I mean, are the critters used to that? Who knows? Like I can drive by and there will be a field full of deer and they just stare at you.
Right.
I could try to walk up and then they immediately scatter. It
Right.
just, you don't know what they're used to. Where I used to live in Ohio, I lived in a suburb like you, and literally I could wake up and there would be like six deer in the front yard and they'd just watch you get in your car, drive away. But they're used to that.
But who would be more apt to run away when they see human activity, deer or mountain lion or coyote?
That's interesting. I think it depends on where you're at. Where I'm
Because
at, I would say deer.
well, because I asked that because around between 5 and 6, everybody starts to stir here within the subdivision. A lot more traffic's going on. People getting up, getting out, letting the dogs out. We got a lot of walkers, and I'm just curious that if a mountain lion was doing this or coyote,
I don't
there
think
couldn't
that
have been
they'd
much
be
time.
afraid of you.
You don't think they would have taken off?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there was a video, um, gosh, it had to have been a couple years ago, of some guy that was like hiking in a national park out west somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and for like minutes, this mountain lion was like following him and like growling and like swiping and stuff because I think as he was walking the trail, it got too close to like where its cubs were.
Yeah,
And that thing was just following him. And he kept, making noise and walking
sure.
backwards and stuff, and it was just kept on coming.
Yeah. I yeah, I think I'm leaning towards what you're kind of saying too. The got the three most likely options: mountain lion, and then coyote. Or what was the third option?
Bear.
Oh, and then potentially black bear. And does any of the damage here look like what a black bear would kind of do if taking down a deer?
Mm, I would say bears would be more similar to like coyote kills, but no, I mean, I don't think it was a bear. No way. Somebody in your neighborhood would have had to have noticed just black bears hanging out. in the area.
There hasn't been any that I've heard or seen of. I'd be curious to try to look through the mud here because this is where you would see any of the tracks before we started stepping through it. I mean there it looks like there's on the back end photo here on this top right section where my cursor. Oh well, I don't even have it up
I
on
was
here.
gonna say if you're looking at something, I
Yeah,
can't see it.
it looks like it could be big paw prints. Let me see here. So if we look, this area right there is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Kind of looks like some holes, maybe. Or am I seeing things like three little hole type
Like
things?
right here looks like
Yeah.
something there, three there. But I just, and I remember you said something, Coyote's a little bit messier. I mean, this is a pretty clean area.
Yeah. I still am more Team Mountain Lion.
Okay. And this looks like because there's no dragging marks anywhere, that this is probably the area that it happened. It didn't drag it here, it was trying to drag it into the berm.
And like with that the first picture that you showed of like how your garden is and like where the creek is,
Yeah.
that might have been
Hmm.
cover enough. That's not out in the open. There's stuff on either side of it. Throw some sticks and leaves on it and call it a day. It's cached.
Well, there's a bunch of, uh, on the berm, there's a ton of sticks and old brush and stuff that's just laying there that it if it had the time, it could cover it with some stuff.
Hmm. I think those couple branches alone,
Is kind of
that
more of
leads
an
me to
indication
believe,
for your mountain lion.
yeah,
Okay.
especially if they weren't there, before the
Right.
scene of the crime.
I mean, they were within the vicinity, but I think it's more of it, it's not just a coincidence that it's just right there next to the body too.
Hmm.
You
I
know.
think it would be interesting to set up a trail cam in that spot to see if maybe it comes back, whatever it was, or what if it just rolls through again.
Yeah, that's what Stacy had said, and I didn't address that particular one. We've looked through the camera since, and nothing has come back or whatever. But I'll look again tonight before I go to bed, just to kind of
Are you
scrub
talking
through
about
it and
your
see
Nest camera?
my Nest camera. Yeah,
You, so I'm talking about like a trail camera on the opposite end, closer to like where it happened,
sure,
just to see if
right,
anything snaps,
yeah.
motion. But you could get some pretty good pictures.
I bought one a while ago to have fun with it out in the garden. I thought the quality sucked, and I thought I was buying a pretty good one.
I mean, mine are all like SD cards, but they
Right,
have them now to like where you can just look right from your cell phone, like real time.
pretty good quality.
Well, out where I live, where they have
Yeah,
farmer internet,
yeah.
I don't think it's supported very well.
Well, this right here was fun. I enjoyed picking your brain on this and kind of walking through what you were kind of thinking as you came across the scene and looking at the pictures and everything. And I do lean towards what you're kind of saying now with Mountain Lion. I'll be curious though if you get a chance. Well, two things. One, if you can look through just the mud on the pictures I sent you, and then if you do come across a deer video or a friend of yours or your neighbor or something that has a sound of a deer making that sound, then I would feel better of saying, okay, yeah, that's probably the deer. And I can't argue against 80%. We're saying that's the deer, but I can only find video of a mountain lion that sounds like that. I can't find a video with the deer that sounds like that. So I'd be curious if you could come up with something like that.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Um, I looked a little bit earlier today, but most of it was not related to your audio, so I thought
Yeah.
irrelevant for the investigation.
But well, thank you very much. And like we said at the very beginning, we teased on we've got a appointment coming up soon for Record Store Day to do a Taylor Swift some kind of release. And then you've got what? When is your concert that you're doing with her?
July, mine's in
July.
July.
So I'd like to do two shows with you. One, like the pre-show to go over some details on what you're going to have to kind of do and what you're planning on doing, and then obviously a debriefing show after.
I feel like I'm studying for finals already. I'll be ready.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and end the live. Thanks, guys, for showing up tonight. And if you have any questions or any more information after you've gone through the pictures here on the video or gone back and listened to the audio, let me know if you guys can match the audio up with another animal that I can take a look at on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Don't go anywhere just yet.